Alright, so I don't have a torque wrench that goes up to 240 pounds. I guess you're supposed to use the old bolt and go to 240 pounds and take it out and then put that one in and go to 33 and then go 140 degrees after that. So what I've done is I took the old bolt and I hit it with an impact as far as it would go, and then I took it out, and then I put this one in there and I put it at 33 pounds, and then I marked the head of the bolt at 0 degrees, and then down here I marked the balancer at 140. So I'm just going to hit it with an impact until that comes over to here and call it good. So that'll be the, I don't know how many foot-pounds the impact got me with the old bolt, but it definitely wasn't going to go on any further. And then 33 pounds and then 140 degrees. Whew. So that's where I needed to go. That's where I wound up at. And I put a breaker bar in there and another breaker bar to turn the bolt, and it ain't turning no more. And I mean, your impacts is only as strong as your socket, and those are really strong sockets, because smaller sockets, they'll give and act like a torque wrench. You know, it's like if you ever go at Walmart, they use them shafts on their impacts, and the size of the shaft determines how much torque it puts on the wheel. But yeah, that ain't going no tighter. I mean, you'd have to, I'm leaving it like that. There ain't no way that bolt's coming out or anything behind it's coming out. That thing's tight. I mean, I dug it on that thing with the impact for a while. But anyway, I got this ICT bracket. Now, if you put this on an LS car, apparently there's 3 bolt holes. One, and then one over here, one over there. With the truck one, I guess you just use 2, but you got to drill your own bolt hole there. So what I've done, I went to Lowe's and got this tap set, 10 millimeter by 1.5 drill and tap set. So I'm gonna line this up on there, however it goes, and then I'm gonna use this as a guide, and I'm gonna go ahead and start the drill through this hole to make sure it goes straight. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt it to the bottom if I got a long enough bolt. So some of my accessory bracket bolts off the truck were the perfect size. So, and the drill bits, you want to reach that far, and I got it exactly where I'm going to put it. So I'm going to use that to line me up, at least get it started. Alright, I got my drill, my hole drilled. I put the tap up in there. Now I'm just turning it with an adjustable wrench. Turn it forward a little, backward, forward, backwards, until I get it all the way in. Alright, I put the water pump on. I wonder if the truck belt will fit it. I doubt it will. This power steering's missing. I'll have to figure out what size belt I need. Got the knock sensor in. I put that in, and then put the 10AN cap on there. And I got the dipstick tube and dipstick in the house, but I need to put the exhaust on before we do that. Well, that's as much as I really want to do with the motor right now until I can get an intake. So I'm going to go ahead and get the car ready to put the motor in. Need to remove the wiring harness and put in the steering rack and put the motor mounts on. To take wire harness out from under the dash on an LT1, you have to unplug this. And then you have to unplug this blue, white, and black. And they went right here. Blue, white, and black. And then this one up here from by the blower motor. Right there. And once you get all those out in the engine bay, underneath the computer, I'll show a video of that in a minute. You just snake them out, that grommet there, and that'll all come out. And if you're removing an LT1 from the bottom, it's best to do it this way. Disconnect all these, pull those wires out, unbolt the computer, pull the computer out, pull them wires out, and then just set the computer over on top of the motor. You'll also have to take those two plug-ins off of the passenger side fender well that go to the front body harness. Alright, to take the harness out from up here, the computer's usually in here. You just take, I'm pretty sure this is the same on an LS car, but you know, disconnected and under the dash and everything like that. But you just take these two bolts out. You take the computer out with the bracket. It all come out together. Then you can slide the computer out of this. It just slides right out. I'll set that to the side. And then there's a grommet down in there. Right in that hole. I already took the harness out. But you pull the grommet out. Now, and then you snake the wires out from under the dash. And sometimes it's a little tricky getting them out that hole. You gotta go back and forth and maneuver them a little bit. Also in the wiring harness is your vacuum for your HVAC system. You'll have to unconnect that wire. It goes right there in that hole. That one runs up to the HVAC to change your vents. It uses vacuum, and then this one goes up to a canister in the inside the fender here to run your vacuum. But once you pull that out, there's a little plug right here for the air conditioner if you have that. There's these two body control harnesses you got to unplug. And then once you unplug that, you set the computer over on top of the motor. I mean, if you're, you know, dropping the motor from the bottom and you just want to easily take everything with you. And then you unhook the battery. The battery and the positive wire go to the starter. And then one wire go to the alternator, and then one wire comes up to this, so you have to unhook it from this. And then the ground wire just goes down to one of the motor mounts, and it also connects here too. It goes here to the battery to the motor mount. You have to unconnect that. And then there's a ground that screws in about right there that comes off the front of the head. You have to undo that. And also there's a ground under the car. It's supposed to go to the side of the block, but some people, they'll put it underneath the car. So you got to make sure that's out of the way, and you unhook your wheel speed sensors and your front brake line. See, I got mine up there. And then you disconnect the transmission cross member, your exhaust, the drive shaft, and everything will come off of that, and all that will go down with the car. But anyway, I've already took the harness off. I did that yesterday when I made that video when I was taking it out from underneath the dash. So in here you do have to take this part out that runs up through there, and that's where all your wires are. And you have to take that upper kick panel out to get to that other one that goes up the top. And I just got those laying there and back there. But anyway, that's how you take the computer out and make it go down with the car. And when I do that other LT1 that's sitting outside, once we get that motor built, I'll go over that a little bit more. You know, you got your fuel rail you got to unhook, your brake booster you got to unhook. But yeah, we'll go over that in more detail. But I painted up my motor mounts. It didn't look like they had any coating on them. I didn't want those to rust. And then after work, we're going to put that in. And basically, just take that cotter pin out for the castle nut. Take the castle nut off and that'll drop down. And then there's 2 bolts there and there that you take out. You have to take the castle nuts out on both sides. And then that should drop out. And then we'll just bolt that one back in. And then we'll put that in. Hopefully that fits everything and clears the exhaust. And then on this right here, this is the ICT billet low mount alternator kit. Now, if you're running just the alternator, the belt is 550 KR, I believe. But the routing of the belt, you always want the rib side towards the grooves and the flat side towards the flat side of the belt. The belt flat side to the flat side of these. So when you run it without, so it goes, the belt goes here, it goes up here, comes down here, goes here, then it goes here, and then it goes back around that way, and then back down. But now, if you're running without the power steering, you have to use the 550 KR belt, and you have to use the grooved pulley here. So I'll have to buy the grooved pulley. Now, you use the flat side, you flat pulley, if you're using the power steering. Because when you're running the power steering, it routes different. And I forget what the route. Okay, so if you're running the power steering pump, this is the routing for it. And you can see that the flat side of the belt goes against that pulley. And this is the routing that you use without the power steering. And as you can see, the grooved part of the belt's up against that pulley, so you need the grooved pulley when you run it this way. And this for that, but it routes different to where the flat side of this will be on the belt. And on these exhausts, unfortunately, let's go around this way. Unfortunately, this exhaust, when flipped down and forward, it hits the alternator. And the only reason it does hit the alternator is because that big triangle piece down there. So I'm thinking we'll cut that off and just weld a V-band on it. Or could probably just flip them up and then go forward. But I'm going to figure out a few different things with that. Because for now, I want to run those forward, and then I just want to run exhaust straight out the front of the fenders for now, and so I can run on motor until I can save up for a turbo kit. But I want to get an intake first. I don't even want to put the rocker arms on here, because when you put the rocker arms on, it opens the valves and stuff can get down in the motor. And before I put the intake on, I'm going to blow those out really good, and then we'll put the valve train on it. So I just got it covered up for now. If it rains real hard, the rain comes in through there like it did over there. That box is all wet. The chair was all wet, but nothing was wet over here, so it must have just come through that crack. I don't know. But anyway, that's where we're at. So I think the only thing about going up and over with the exhaust is I don't know if you'll be able to get the spark plug wires through there, but I know how to make my own spark plug wires, so I could maybe route them around this way. I don't know. I need to do some fitting with the exhaust and see how all that lines up, but that's where we're at right now. We need to get the 550 KR belt, get the groove pulley, because that's the way we're running it. They're like 20 bucks, not a big deal. And then I'm going to put the steering rack in there, and I'm going to put the motor mounts in there. And then I'm going to play with this exhaust later today and see what'll clear and what won't. But that's it. Y'all like and subscribe. Have a great day. And I'll get some more videos of putting the steering rack and the motor mounts in.